Okay, hopefully we're live on YouTube. And what else should I do?
Recording in progress.
Yep, I guess that's it. So, Alec, the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you. I suppose on my clock we still have a 3 minutes. Maybe we need to wait some people and then we'll start. Okay. And before it, if someone maybe has questions about previous days or about tomorrow presentation, you can ask them and we will try to answer. And after 3 minutes, we will start our new session. What the question is, what should our presentation include? In general, it's up to you. You will share your screen and show the 3D model with the textures, with everything. You can create a story. You can create your own vision of the project, and you will produce this 3D model, which you're probably already tried to do. Today we will talk about how to produce the textures for this 3D model, textures and materials. And also we will create some AI renders. And all of these materials you can combine and somehow present. You don't need to create something fancy. It's just share your screen and show all what you have. So it's up to you how to present it, how to tell your story about this project. Yes, it's just I don't know, artistic process, and anyway, will be good for us. Okay, I think we can start. I will share my screen. And today, I suppose, will be a long day for us. We need to cover 3 different tools. It's Stable Diffusion, Midjourney, and a bit Blender in the end of the session. And more or less in Stable Diffusion and in the Midjourney, we will create the same things, and you can use either one tool or another. It's up to you. For them who can't, for any reason, use Stable Diffusion, you can just make a subscription in Midjourney and do more or less the same stuff. Of course, with the Stable Diffusion, we will produce more advanced result, I suppose, but it's possible to achieve the same things in Midjourney as well. So we will start with the Stable Diffusion, then we will switch to Midjourney to produce the similar textures for our model there. And in the end of the session, we will go to the Blender just to show you how to create the materials with these textures, how to assign them to the model. And that's it for today. Actually, it's just these 3 topics, but I suppose this is the quick overview about Stable Diffusion. The company who produce this stuff for us is Stability AI. They already launched a lot of different models, not just for the images, but also for the video, for the sounds, for text generation, and for many other different purposes. And During this workshop, we will use SDXL models, and but also you can probably know that they already launched Stable Diffusion free. It's a newest model, and it's also interesting. You can check it in the same interface which we will use. But in general, for us, it's more suitable to use SDXL for now. I will show later why. Then on top of Stable Diffusion exist a lot of different user interfaces, and some of them you can find in the internet, and also create your payment subscription and use them as a services. For example, Leonardo AI, LookX, and different other tools working like that. But you can use free user interface, download them to your computer and install them, and then just use it for free. The only issue here, it's all of these tools require really strong computer, especially graphic cards. And if you have it, so you're free to use. It's not only one user interface which you can download. For example, the most popular, I suppose, Automatic 1111. It looks like that. The similar interface for Forge, and more or less these two interfaces. If you know one of them, you know another one, because all the parameters, all the tabs are there, more or less the same. It's just small differences between these two interfaces. Also, more, let's say, user-friendly Focus interface. It's just a few commands are there, and it's the most simple interface for Stable Diffusion, I suppose, which you can download. Invoke AI, also interesting. It's actually two different interfaces there. It's a Canvas interface and workflows interface with the nodes. And this is also fun and cool stuff. But we will use ComfyUI. So ComfyUI, it's from my point of view, most advanced tool for using Stable Diffusion, but and not also only the Stable Diffusion. You can use different AI systems. So there, for example, you can add some OpenAI stuff to ComfyUI, or Gemini, which is produced by Google, and many different tools actually you can add to ComfyUI and use all of them all together. So this really advanced tool, and if Stability AI or someone else launch something new, the developers of the ComfyUI try to implement all this stuff as soon as possible to this interface. So it's I suppose really nice tool for us, and we will use it. So go next. For download it, you already have seen my instruction, I suppose, and this is the website on the GitHub with the examples for ComfyUI. You can find there a lot of different examples for simple workflows, for more advanced workflows like in Paint, Outpaint, etc. And if you see the image there, for example, like this, you can just drag and drop it to your interface, and you will see the workflow which is produced this image. And also, if you downloaded materials from the Google Drive, which I shared yesterday in Discord, you can also found some images, and also you can drag and drop it to ComfyUI and see the workflow which was behind it. So it's pretty simple. which components we will use today inside of the ComfyUI and inside of the Stable Diffusion itself. First of all, we need some base models. As I said, as I mentioned, we will use SDXL based model. And this is one of my experiments. It's actually not SDXL image. It's from, I suppose, Stable Diffusion 1.4 or maybe even the early version. I don't know. I did it a couple of years ago, I suppose, and this just an image produced by the basic model. And base model, it's a model or models which Stability Eye share it by themselves. And on top of this model, community create different fine-tuned models. And most of them you can find on this website, cvti.com. And for example, today we will use realistic vision. We will probably use Juggernaut and maybe something else. And on this website, you can freely download everything, and not just fine-tuned models, but also specific models for different purposes. For example, for upscale, for ControlNet, for I don't know, for many other things. And in combine with these fine-tuned models, we will also use LoRa models. It's special small models which trained on top of basic models or fine-tuned models. It's actually depends on developer of this LoRa model. And for example, they provide specific stuff. For example, if you need to produce architectural images or videos, or you need to produce another specific, let's say, objects on your images or specific styles, you can train your own LoRa. It's not so complicated. It's possible to do on your own computer. You don't need a lot of data for that. For example, usually it's enough 50 images or maybe 70, and maybe 3 hours if you have a good graphic card, and you have your own LoRa, and then you can use it for produce some results like images or videos. And this is the link from CVTI to Ismail Salat webpage. And you can find the specific LoRa's which is related to the architectural job, I suppose. And most of these models I use, and they're really cool. You can download them. Also, you can find the link for these models, LoRa models, in my document, in my docs about ComfyUI installation. So when we will start to create a workflow, we need some different things. And if you need to go, or if you are interested to learn the theory about ComfyUI and about Stable Diffusion itself, you can go to this website. I downloaded some images from it, and you will understand how prompt working, how Stable Diffusion create images for you. I will not cover this topic today because it's a lot of time, but more or less what we need there, we need the text prompt, which will be transformed to, let's say, digits like that. And all these digits will be represented in the matrix, and this matrix will be compared to the latent space where Stable Diffusion try to find for us another digits which which were behind images, and afterwards Stable Diffusion transformed these digits from the latent space to the real images, and it's how it works more or less. It's pretty it's actually not true, and it's really I would say it's simplification, but if you need to understand it, you can just go to this website and read some articles there. It's a really nice explanation. So this about images, how it's encode and then decode to the real images. And this latent space, this is the space where image is represented by digits. And because more or less all these systems, all this machine learning stuff and AI stuff working with digits. And only after that, you have some operations which is transform these digits to actual result. It's either images or maybe geometry or maybe something else. So in general, you need to somehow encode your stuff to the digits and then decode it back when you need to produce new results. So also we will use the special algorithm which is called sampler, and the sampler, this is the algorithm which is create from the noise image, let's say image with objects, and this algorithm working step by step, and we will see it in workflow how many steps we'll need to use for do it, and this let's say our thought component after the prompt and encoder, which we will use in ComfyUI. So this is three main stuff, or maybe four: model, text prompt, encoder, and sampler, which we will use for our work today. And we will produce two different workflow. First, it's AI render. We will use the image of the voxel structure, which, for example, we can produce in Kodiia. For example, you did something like that during yesterday's session. And from this image, we will create something like that. And or for example, like that. Or if you don't like realistic style, you can use specific models. I will show you also how to do it to produce, let's say, cartoon style or maybe cyberpunk style or something else. It's up to you which result you would like to achieve, and we not insist for any style. You can use wherever you want, and this is just an example. You don't need to follow it better if you create something which is unique and which is interesting for your own purposes. So, and then we will use this AI render to produce some textures. It's our second workflow. And for example, we will create textures like that or maybe something else. I will show you how to do it and which exact textures you need for your final work. It's also up to you. So you can produce maybe something else. Okay, that's it about theory, about not theory, but about overview of our first part of the lesson, and we will switch to Stable Diffusion, I suppose, to ComfyUI, and I will show you how to do all this stuff, and then after that we will talk about Midjourney. And also this couple of pages which you can follow if you want. Instagram is just Instagram. It's nothing specific there, just images. And here in Telegram, you can find some files and workflows which I share with everyone. You can just join to this page and download everything for free. I suppose it's a lot of useful stuff there. If you are interested to learn ComfyUI or maybe something else. For example, sometimes I share Grasshopper scripts and many other stuff actually. You can follow this page. Telegram just allow me to upload huge files and images without compression. That's why I use this tool for sharing. Okay, let's go to ComfyUI. This is our first workflow. Not very complicated, but not simple as well. And we will try to recreate it, probably maybe for better understanding. We will do it from scratch. I just clear the canvas like that. Also clear the render ribbon. So we have the empty space here, and usually the core node for your algorithm, for your workflow is K-sampler. So if you double click on the canvas, you can find it by search. Just just type K-sampler. In ComfyUI, you have a lot of different K-samplers here. Actually, some of them from the side packages, but for example, these two, I suppose, even this three, I think it's a basic stuff. For this workflow, we will use a simple K-sampler without any advanced options here. And I usually convert these, I change the colors for some nodes, and I usually use three different colors: brown colors for inputs, blue colors for, say, processing nodes, which is like a transition between inputs and the main nodes, and the green color for the core nodes, like K-sampler, or for example, for the K-sampler, which we will use for the upscale. So this will be green, and it's actually not a rule or something common. So you can use another color or even leave it by default. So it's more or less doesn't matter. We have some inputs here. It's model, positive and negative prompt, latent image, and some parameters. Actually, all these parameters you can transform by right-click on this node to the inputs. So you can either use these widgets or inputs. For example, the seed parameter, I probably will transform to the input. It's convert widget to input, and then you can choose which one widget you can transform to the input. And in my case, it will be the seed. So all other stuff I will leave as widgets. And let's go step by step. First, we need a model. Model, this is the actually our base, and the model is something which was trained by a lot of images and descriptions of these images. And as I said, we have the base models produced by Stability AI, and we also have community models which we can download, for example, from CVTI, from this website. And if we go to the models tab, we can find a lot of different models here. And for example, I don't know, maybe we can use some filters or highest rated, for example. I don't see models which I usually use, but doesn't matter. You can find it easily. For example, if you know the name of the model or if you have the link. And for example, I can open any of them, let's say Epic Realism. It's model for SDXL based model. This is important for us because if you use SDXL based model, or for example, Stable Diffusion 1.5 or Stable Diffusion 2.1, all your work, all the nodes in your workflow should be follow to this base model. For example, you can combine the ControlNet and the community model only if they are related to the same base model. So you always need to check which is base model behind of the community model, and you can find it in the description. So also you can see some examples which was produced by these models. And if you click on this example, you can see the prompt here and the parameters of the say stable diffusion parameters for producing these images. Most of these parameters you can find inside of the K-sampler node in ComfyUI, and you just need to use it. Okay, it's how to find the model, and if you need to download them, just use this download button and put the model to the specific folder inside of your ComfyUI. You can find all of these folders in my instruction, and for different type of models, for example, this is community models. You can find the path where you need to download this stuff. For example, for Lora, it's another one pass, and it depends on type of your models, upscaler, VIE, embeddings, etc., etc. So all of these different types of models have different folders inside of the ComfyUI folder. Okay, go back here, and for us, we need the specific node for add the model to this workflow. And if you just drag the wire from the input of the K-sampler node, ComfyUI suggests to you some nodes which will be useful in this case. And for us, actually, we need this node checkpoint loader simple, this one. So, and through this node, we can choose one or another model. For example, for this workflow, I will use realistic vision. I renamed all my models, which I downloaded to the folder to better understand which model related to, for example, SDXL, which model related to Stable Diffusion 1.5. You don't need to follow this naming convention, but if you want, you also can rename your models. It's up to you. Okay, I need to choose one of these models, and in my case, it will be realistic vision, this one. This is the SDXL model, and this node for me is an input, so it will be brown color. And it's pretty simple connection, so model output to model input, so pretty straightforward. Then actually, we need the positive and negative prompt, latent image, and seed. And then we need to understand all these widgets here to produce our AI render. So let's start with the prompts. And for the prompts, I actually use the specific method how to add them, because the straightforward method is just clip text encode node here, and you put your prompt, and you also need to connect the clip algorithm to clip text encode node. So the clip, this is the special algorithm produced by OpenAI, and this is for encoding your text to digits, because as I mentioned before, Stable Diffusion and all other neural network in general works with digits, and they don't understand the, say, simple text. They need to convert it to something else, and for that you need this clip algorithm. Okay, but we will not use this basic node. We will use something else. And for search nodes, you can double click on the canvas, and we need a node which is called string literal. Simple string also fine for us, I suppose. But this node without any inputs is just a window for type your text. So pretty simple node without anything else, and the output is just your text. You can't, as you see, connect it to the positive prompt directly, because here we need already converted text using the clip algorithm. So that's why it's not possible to connect this text directly to KSampler. But anyway, we need our positive prompt and the negative prompt. I also change the color, because this is my inputs. Copy this node for the negative prompt. And I suppose the idea of positive and negative prompt pretty understandable. So the negative prompt is something which you don't want to see on your final result, on your final image. And for example, if you don't need, let's say, cars or people on your final render, you just mention all this stuff here and connect this to the negative prompt after some other nodes which we need in between these two guys. So I see the question. I probably need to restart the server menu. What can be? Okay. I don't have string literal. You don't have, because this is not the standard node actually. And yes, in general, if you downloaded my algorithms, this one, for example, and the workflow for AI render, when you drag and drop it to your canvas, ComfyUI show for you the special message. For example, some nodes are missing, and then you need to go to the manager here and use install missing custom nodes button and then restart. So afterwards, you will see all these nodes which I used, and you can also implement them to the new workflows if you want. So in general, ComfyUI, this is not just let's say something which it's not a program where everything already inside. So you have some basic nodes, but most of the nodes which you need, you will download from different sources, and a lot is, let's say, open stuff, and a lot of people create different implementation to ComfyUI, which you can upload to your ComfyUI folder and then use for your algorithms. So this, for example, string literal, it's not the standard node. Here you can see the name of the package, and it's actually not the full name, but more or less it's like that. If you see this fox, or I don't know, maybe it's cat, it means this is the standard node, and this one is not. So you need to download it from, for example, from my workflow. You just need drag and drop, then go to the manager and install missing custom nodes, then restart. Okay, about the link about installation. Yes, I can share it. It's here. And these docs, I suppose we share it already in our workshop description on Digital Futures page. But anyway, and also all these workflows, where is it? Just a moment. Yeah, all these workflows you can find on the Google Drive and in ComfyUI folder. And these two workflows which we are using today, this is the inputs for these workflows. This is the final render for first workflow, and this is the textures which were produced by second workflow. And if you don't have this link, I also can share it, I suppose. So just in case, I share it in Zoom. So if you see this video on YouTube, you probably need to join to Discord, and there you can find all this information as well. Okay, let's go back. So we use these two nodes. Of course, you can use, instead of this approach, the standard nodes. It's also possible if you can't download for any reason this package, you can just use clip text and code. But I suppose some nodes which we will use, they will not be easy to replace like that. So in this case, it's possible, but for some other nodes, you anyway need some specific packages. Okay, so we have these two windows for our positive and negative prompt. And for example, for positive prompt, I will use this sentence. I will also copy it to Zoom. So it's a vertical voxel city made from massive grid structure and some other description here. It's also up to you how to describe your city. And if you, for example, have a specific or would like to implement specific style, you also can mention it in this prompt. And if you would like to see specific elements on the facades or specific elements close to your building, so you can also describe it here. You can create a long prompt. It's also possible. So it's up to you how to describe this city. This is just an example, so you don't need to follow it directly, I would say. And for negative prompt, we will use something pretty simple. Let's say ugly, deformed. These common words. I suppose it's enough for us. Then I usually use the special stuff which can enhance your prompt. It's called is the Excel prompt styler. This one. This is also not the standard node. This is from the package, and for me this will be the blue color. And I will transform these two widgets, text positive and text negative, to the inputs. So convert widget to input and do that, like that, and connect my positive and my negative prompt to this node. Then I can choose one or another style. It's also up to you which style you would like to implement to your project. But in general, for example, here exists just simple enhancer, and you can find it by search. It's called enhance. And this style just adds some common words to your prompt. Actually, all of these styles just add some words to your prompt. And in this is the pretty simple approach. It's nothing fancy behind of this node. It's not an algorithm or something else. Just all of these predefined styles they have some words behind which will be added to your prompt, and this is the way how it works. It's nothing really specific. If you would like to see which exact words were added, you can use show text node like that. And when you launch your script, you will see the full prompt. It will be your prompt and some additional words here to represent this stuff for you. So, but I don't need it actually, and I will leave it as this. So then I need this standard clip text and code, which we will use previously. And also I need to convert this text area to the input. So convert widget to input like that. It also will be the blue color for me. And then I add the text here and copy it for the negative prompt. like that. And I can connect it to the positive and negative prompt to the case sampler. And also I need to add the clip input here. It's of course from the model like that. But actually, if we will use all these wires everywhere, we will see a lot of intersection between wires and nodes. So I will try to avoid them. I will disconnect this clip stuff, and we will use the special node here to share all this model clip and VIE algorithm everywhere for all the nodes where we need all these inputs. So, okay, how to do that? Actually, for that we need also the special node. So, can I check one stuff? Yeah, it's called Anything Everywhere Free. Let's try to find them. Like that. Free, it means free inputs. It's any inputs. It's up to you which one input use. And this working pretty simple. I also changed the color. It's not necessary, as I said. And add the model, clip, and VIE here. And also I can disconnect it from this stuff as well. And it's work pretty simple. For example, I think if you right click on the canvas and use this command, right now it's hide UE links, but before it was show UE links, you will see this automatical connection from this node to any input which you have from another nodes, which is have the same names. For example, if we have clip here and clip here, it's automatically connected. Okay, I will hide it. We don't need this animation, I think. So in styles, you have only enhance. So I think it's enough for us, but why you don't have other styles, I don't really know. It probably depends on the version of these packages, and actually you can create your own styles inside of the folder of this package. You can find a special text document where you can put your own styles and create your own words for add to any prompt anytime. So I probably downloaded these not a couple of months ago, and it was with a lot of styles. Maybe right now is something different, I don't know. But in general, as I said, you don't really need it. It's just a small enhancer. You can connect the text directly to here, so it's also fine. It's not a big it's not affected a lot to your result. You can just put additional words manually to your prompt. It's also possible. Okay, let's go next. Next, we need latent image. So we already have the model. It's connected from this node. We already have positive and negative prompt, and we need the latent image. What is the latent image? Latent image, it's let's say empty image with the resolution. We need to define resolution of the final result. For example, 100. 100 is too small, 1000 pixels by 500 pixels or something else. And in general, SDXL model by itself and all community models which were trained on top of SDXL basic model, all of these models trained on the images with resolution 1024 by wider side, and better to use the similar resolution or something close to it. Afterwards, we can upscale it to better quality images. but by default, it's better to use something which has 1024 pixels width or height, or width and height if we need the square image. So this is the best approach for us. So I also can search the default node by using this wire, and ComfyUI automatically suggests for me some nodes. And in this case, I need empty latent image. So is this one. And here we can define width and height of the image, and also batch size. Batch size is how many images we need to produce simultaneously. Better for us to leave it as one image, and it's enough. If we need another one, we can just relaunch our workflow, and that's it. So we will create the images one by one. And okay, the latent image, as I said, we need, for example, if we need the square image, it will be a resolution like that. And this is the basic approach, but we will not follow it actually. We will use something else. And because we have the image as an input, and this one you need to use if you have nothing. You have just a text prompt, and you would like to produce something from the text. But we have our inputs from Kodiia, which we, let's say, produced yesterday. And I also uploaded these examples to Google Drive. You can find them in the inputs folder inside of the ComfyUI folder. And for example, we have images like that. And let's say we will use maybe this one. Just, okay, enable to find workflow. Okay, it's not working like that. So we need to add the load image node, which is the standard node of the image. Then choose, actually here we can drag and drop, I suppose. Like that. Yes, it's working. So we have this image, and we already have the resolution of this image, and we will use it for the latent image itself. It doesn't mean we use the image for creating something. We just use the width and height of this image to take something from the latent space. Latent space, this is the space, let's say, inside of the model, which we have here. And it based on the training data, based on the images which were used for train these models, but all these images converted to first to the noise and then to the digits. And the latent space is the space with the let's say digit matrix, and nothing real there. I mean, it's no images inside of this volume or space, virtual space. I don't know how to call it properly, but it's because it's not possible to keep all these real images, maybe hundreds of thousands of them there in RGB format, or it will be too heavy. And the model itself is usually already heavy. It's about 7 gigabytes or maybe even more. But if we will keep all the images in the real format there, it's not possible to download session models, and not possible to use them as well. So that's why all the images first represented there by digits, and we have some algorithm to convert them to the real pixels, and then to the real images. Okay, from this image we need to take the width and height, and for that we will use a couple of nodes. First of them, it's image resize. And it's also not only the one node. We need probably this one by a longer side, which will be easy for us to use this one. And we can connect the image here. And the longer side, which we need, is 1024. It's a resolution which used for trained SDXL models, as I said. So this is good for us, I think. And the interpolated method, we will use nearest. The interpolated method is the method how to define the another one side. So we have the longer side and, for example, height, and we need to somehow define the width. And it's not the only one method how to do it. It's four of them, and more or less for us, it doesn't matter which one we will use. But I usually use this one. It's more precise in most cases. So this is will be input, so it's brown color, and this is the blue node. Okay, then I need to understand the width and height to connect it to empty latent image, and for that I will use image size node. Okay, image size. It's also not the only one. Get image size by Mixlab. It's the node packages, or for example, JPS. It's another node packages. More or less doesn't matter which one is used. Which one we will use here? So maybe this one is good for me. And we have width and height, and we need to convert these widgets to the inputs. So this is the width, and this is the height. Both of these guys will be low. So, okay, we have the empty latent image. So it's not related to this one because we just take the width and height from this image, nothing else. And the empty image itself will be taken from the model latent space, and it will be, let's say, random, but not totally random because it will be related to our prompt. Okay, and the last thing which we need is the seed, and for that, it's not a good suggestions here. I probably just find something like that. So I like this node after Photoshop as the seed, and we will connect it to here, and it's also an input. So it will be the brown one. And the seed, this is the random number which is affect to the result. And for example, if we have everything the same but different seeds, we will have different results. But of course, all of these results will be more or less similar. It will be on the same topic. For example, if we have the prompt to create vertical voxel city, both of the images we will produce with two different seeds will be about voxel cities, but they could be with different, let's say, composition or different materials or something else. It also depends on prompt, how precise this prompt, and also depends on many other thing. But for example, if we have the same seed and if we have all the other stuff the same and we launch our workflow twice, we will produce totally the same results. So it's how we can control our workflow and how we can test it. For example, if we would like to change one word to another in our prompt, or if we would like to change the model, or if we would like to change the style or something else, we can keep the seed and we will see how these changes will affect to the result, because we will be sure nothing else will change, and see the same, all other stuff the same. We change, for example, only the model, and we will understand how one model or another will work. Okay, and we have different regimes for working with seeds. Random, it's just create the random number for the seed. And I prefer to use increment. It's just create +1 digit for every launch of the workflow. And in this case, I always will know which was the previous seed. So for example, if I launch once, it will be 0, then it will be 1. And if, for example, I would like to back to the previous result, I just, now, for example, it will be 555 here, and I would like to back to 1, I just use this arrow to do that. And it will be my previous result, it will be my next result, and how it works. Decrement is the same, but it's -1, and the fixed is always the same number, so you will produce the same results if you not change anything here. Okay, actually, it's not easy for me to share something because I don't really remember which node from which packages. This is from Essentials, so you can try to find. It's actually not only the one, not like that. You can maybe type image size, and for example, this is another one package, and this also good for us. It's working the same way. So width and height we have here. It's from Mixlab, for example. And if you need the specific package, and if you know the name of this package, you can go to the manager. Then you need to go in custom node manager and try to search one or another package. For example, Mixlab. Yep. And you can try to install it, or for example, this one, which I used right now, is Essentials. You can also try to search it and install it. So it's ComfyUI Essentials package. So again, you need to go to Manager, Custom Nodes Manager, and try to find the package Essentials. So ComfyUI Essentials, and you will see the install button here. Try to install it, and then you will need to restart your ComfyUI. Okay, so we have all the inputs, and we need to define these parameters. Actually, how many steps for denoising use? It's more or less better to understand from CBTI. For example, if you use the epic realism model, we don't right now, but you can find our model is realistic vision. Suppose we can find it like that. No, it's the old one, RealViz. I think we need this one. Yes, RealViz Excel. And for example, if you like one image or another, you can check. This is the Latent model. So yeah, this is the Latent. We need to baked model. Sometimes inside of one model page, you can find different models. For example, Lighting model, baked model, turbo model, etc., etc. This is the kind of different modifications of these models. And the Lighting model, this is the special model for quick, almost real-time render. If you have the pretty good graphic card, it will be real-time for you. And for Lightning model, you usually have not so much steps. For example, here, it's just 5 steps for render, and CFG parameter is just 1. So this is really specific models. We will use this one. It's the standard is the Excel model. And you can also find this stuff in the description. Base model SDXL Lightning or base model just SDXL 1.0. And for example, if I like this image, the steps number is 25 and guidance is 7. Sampler, also you can use this. And also you can find some information in the description because one model prefer, let's say, one sample, another model prefer another sample. So always read this description and for example, here recommended generation parameters, you can find it sampling steps from 15 to 30 plus, and sampling method is this one, DPM plus plus 2M caras. Also, some another recommendation you can find here. And this is the best way how to understand which parameters you need to implement to these widgets. And 20 steps, let's say, is okay for us. CFG 8 also okay. CFG is actually the parameter which called guidance in on the CVTI page, and it's how KSampler understand your prompt, how precise it's understand your prompt, let's say, and bigger CFG parameter we will have will pay more attention to your prompt. If you have the, let's say, CFG about 1 or 2 or even close to 0, it means your prompt almost not working. So it will be just maybe basic common stuff from this prompt. For example, sampler will understand, okay, we need to produce city, but which city doesn't matter. And if you have, for example, CFG about 10, it will be more precise. It will understand every word, but sometimes if you create the image with the, let's say, huge CFG parameter, it will be overbaked, it will be over contrast, and it will produce not so good results. So sometimes you need to balance this parameter, even if KSampler don't follow to your prompt completely. Sometimes it's not necessary. You just need to define the direction, and it's enough for most cases. Anyway, better to follow the parameters which you can find in the description of the models. And in our case, for example, a CFG 7 or 8 is enough. And sampler method, there was DPM plus plus caras. So actually the sampler, it's DPM plus plus PP 2M. And the caras is the scheduler. It's a different parameter. And in some interfaces, for example, in the old version of the Automatic 1111, you can't separate all these two stuff. And the scheduler, it's maybe this theory not so important for you, but I will go back a bit. So this is how the sampler works. It's just create from the noise image the actual images, and this is the image which was produced randomly according to your prompt, of course, from the latent space, from the digits. And this is the noise image. And this is the algorithm which we need just for keep the model not so big and keep the process not so slow. So we need, we can't working with actual images from the beginning. That's why we need this simple noise to represent all this stuff. And the sampler create from this noise the real image by, let's say, step by step, denoise it. And how the steps works, it's about scheduler. And it's a kind of, for example, on the first step, we need to minus a lot of noise. On the second step, not so much. And it's about scheduler, how to do it. And the different scheduler do it in different ways. For example, some of them try to add or minus. It depends on the process. It's a learning process or already producing images process. They try to, let's say, minus a lot of noise in the beginning, some of them in the end, some of them has a linear function of the denoising, and it's more or less how it's working. And you can read about it also on this webpage from my presentation. And you can read about differences between all of these algorithms there, how they work, and how the schedulers work as well. Okay, and this is recommended parameters for us. We can leave it like that. And the noise parameter, we need to leave it as one because we are working with empty latent image. And for some workflows, for example, if we have in Paint workflow or image-to-image workflow, we need to play with the noise parameter, but if we will use empty latent image, it's always equal to 1. So it means we have the simple noise like that from the beginning. If we have the noise not equal to 1, for example, if it's equal to 0, we will take image like that, but result will be the same, absolutely the same, because it's nothing to do for the sampler. And we have as an input not the latent image here, but the real image, and produce from the real image the same image. So it's no process actually behind it. And we have intermediate approaches. When, for example, we have the noise 0.5 and we have the image like that, it means we first have image like that, then we add some noise to it, and then try to denoise it to make something different. For example, different color of the fur of this cat, or different color of the eyes. Sometimes this image-to-image algorithm is necessary to use, and for that, for small changes and keep all the composition or something, or keep something else, we don't need to use the noise which is equal to 1, but it's not our case. So we will keep it as it is. Go next. Actually, we define everything here, but we still need to somehow implement this image to our result because we didn't do that yet. And for these purposes, we will use additional neural network, which is called ControlNet. ControlNet takes something from the image, for example, contours or depth map or something else, or normal map, for example, and add this information to this part of the algorithm, let's say to the prompt. It's not the prompt, actually, it's also digits. And we will mix our image with these digits also, first to decompress it to the digits, mix it to this, and the result will be our positive and negative prompt, and it's how we will implement this image to this case sampler. It's not the only way. As I said before, we can also, instead of the latent image, use the actual image, but in this case we don't need it because we don't need this white color, for example. Here we don't need this exact texture. We need something specific from this image, and in our case it's just a contour of this structure. And for this specific information, we need to use specific algorithm, not just to use image directly instead of the latent image. And in this case, we will use the ControlNet. And for the ControlNet, we have also a lot of different nodes. And in this exact algorithm, we will use apply advanced ControlNet, is this one. So I'll probably maybe another one because this one, it's from ACN package. you can actually use this one as well. So it's more or less the same, just a few additional parameters here. Most of them we will not use, and it's possible to use this one, but I prefer this guy. It's produced a bit different result, and in my experiments, it's working better. So. And as you can see, it's positive and negative prompt here. ControlNet model image. Image is this. It's not actually this image, but I will show you later. Mask and some specific parameters which we will not use actually. So what we will use here, first of all, we need a positive and negative prompt. We already have it, so just connect it to here. And we can reconnect it result to the K-sampler like that. So we just have an additional step. And this ControlNet, we need to implement this image. I just remind you. ControlNet itself. So ControlNet is the specific model. It's not the basic model like that. It's a model which is trained by the specific purposes. And for example, in our case, we will use the ControlNet to use the contours from the initial image and implement these contours somehow to the prompt. This is a really tricky stuff, but we don't need to understand how it works in general. And we just need to understand, okay, this ControlNet take these contours from this image and implement it to the result. And it's all what we need actually. And for the ControlNet model, we need a specific node. Let's see, ControlNet loader. We need this one, ControlNet loader advanced. It's from the same packages of the nodes. And it's actually input, so better to use the brown color. And the ControlNet models, I downloaded a lot of them for the last years. And for example, in this case, I will use Diffuser Excel Scani, this one. Actually, maybe not even this, but maybe I think this one. If you don't have it, you actually can try to find them through the manager as well, model manager, and try to search this model and you can download it. It's the first way. And the second way, just go to my instruction and here in the additional models part, it's part number 3, you can find ControlNet models here. And this is the links for the ControlNet models for different stable diffusion versions, 1.5, 2.1, and SDXL. We are using right now SDXL, and you can download some models from them. And ControlNet is really a huge topic for the separate tutorials, I think, and I will not go deep into it because we will spend a lot of time. But you need to understand that different models take the different stuff from the image. For example, this Scani model take the contours. Another model takes something else, and you can use this stuff in different ways to produce your final result. But we just need to understand this Scani right now, and this is enough for us. And actually, the model itself not take the contours. The contours will be taken by the processor, which is we also need to add to our canvas. And the model itself just take these contours from the preprocessor and mix it from with the text prompt also on the level below of the text, so it's still digits and it's mixed somehow here. Then we will add all this information to the K-sampler. Okay. as I mentioned, we need this preprocessor for take the contours. It's called Kenny H, like that. And we need to add the image to this stuff. And also, we need to define the resolution. We can do it manually like that, for example, because we already know the resolution, and probably better to use this image actually already resized, just to have the same stuff. And low threshold and high threshold, I will show you what it means. It's better to understand on the example. And I think that's it. We can connect this image to the ControlNet. Okay, try to be more accurate. And also, just to show you what's happening here, I will make a preview image node. After preprocessor, it will be show for us the image the ControlNet. So that's it. And for producing the result, we need to create the actual image from the latent space. And for that, we need VIE decode node. VIE automatically, this algorithm, which is convert the image from the latent space, so it's image represented by digits, to pixel image. And this VIE algorithm usually implemented to the model, and we have it here, so it's automatically connected to this node. And also we can preview our image like that. So this will be the final result. And we can already try to launch our algorithm, I suppose. For that, we need just to use this button, Q prompt, and wait a bit. So first, we need to download the model. You can see this process. And you can see this green frame around of the node, which is working right now. So first time when we downloaded the model, it's a long time to go. And this is the image which was produced by any edge preprocessor. And this is the final image which we have here. So this is the result. And we can see a lot of different elements inside of this result is because we have a lot of different lines here. So the preprocessor actually take all these lines which we have on this image and convert it to this black and white contour, and then the ControlNet itself try to implement all this information as a basic for the result. So around all this main structure, actually we have the black space, and Stable Diffusion is free to produce something here. And it's mostly related to our prompt, which will be around of our structure. But in general, we don't need such a dense structure here. And for that, we will use these two parameters, low threshold and high threshold. And for example, we can change it to 0, and here we'll see what we will have if I, for example, make it by 700. So it's less density here, which is better for us. And the result is like that. So we have the voxel structure. We have a desert all around of our structure because we mentioned it, I suppose, in prompt. Yes, located in the desert. And we actually produce something. So it's working like that. What else we can do? For example, we can, let's say, use this input weight override here. And can I check? scale ControlNet weights, this parameter. It's also the input. And this parameter, let's say, rule the ControlNet to multiply the strength of this ControlNet on the result. So if we have the one by default, we fully implement this structure to the result, but we can create more freedom for the stable diffusion. And for example, create the base multiplier less than one. Let's say 82% is okay for us. Let's try to do that. So, and we have more freedom, and surrounding is more interesting right now. And we have this result, but also, for example, we have additional elements on site, which is not represented on our initial image. So let's try to do something like this. This is better, I suppose. So we still follow the structure, and we have some freedom for the surrounding. In addition, for example, we can this model which we use right now, realistic vision, trained by photo data set. So it's mainly related to different objects, people, streets, cars, etc., but not related with the architectural specific stuff. If we would like to produce the more, let's say, architectural image, we can implement some LoRa models on top of this checkpoint model. And for example, I mentioned some of them, and we can use them. For that, we need the special node, CR LoRa stack. This node allow us to implement not only one LoRa model on top of the checkpoint, but 3 of them. And also we can combine them if we need more, for example, like that. And here we can choose one LoRa, here another one, and here some as well. So, but we don't need a lot of LoRa models, so I will use the only one node. And I switch it on. And then, for example, I will use, let's say, from Finder LoRa, which you can find on the CVTI, and the strength of this LoRa model, let's say, will be 80%. And probably this enough for me. Then we need to apply this LoRa. So apply LoRa stack. So LoRa stack is this one. And leap in the model we will take from here. So it's enough for us. And actually better if we do it like that, model to this, clip to this, and here we need to connect it directly, because we need to share the result with us nodes, and this will be better. You can also combine different LoRa's. For example, if I switched on the second position and use, let's say, something like this. So also you can find this LoRa on CVTI, and it will be 50% strength. So let's see the result. This is more architectural, I would say, and more realistic as well. So we can save this image. If you need to save this image, you can make it directly, actually, using the save image node instead of the preview image. In this case, all the images which you will produce automatically will save to your ComfyUI output folder. and you don't need to do something else. But I prefer to not save them because I usually produce a lot of these images, and I need to save only some of them. For that, you can right click on the image and find the save command here. I suppose it's maybe so default clear, maybe share output. No, it's just share. It's somewhere here. Yes, save image here. And then you can define the folder where you would like to save it. Or if you have this ribbon, it's also not the standard. You need to download some packages. You can open the image from this ribbon and save it afterwards. So, but this is not a standard. You can save it from it. So save image like that. Then we still have the resolution of this image with 1024 pixel by wider side. And yes, I can show the LoRa connection. It's like that. So model it and clip from the checkpoint model here, LoRa stack from this node, and this node for share all this stuff with other nodes. So I also have my own LoRa's, for example, this CHBL, or for example, this minimalistic LoRa model, but I didn't share it yet. So maybe I will do it in Telegram on next week, at least one of them, because CHBL is related to the company. I probably will not share it, but another one I will. And if you will be in my Telegram channel, you can download them. Okay, so we still have the small image. If we need to upscale it, and better to do that because we need to use this image to produce textures from it. Maybe not this exact image, something else. We can create more renders and choose one or another image. So we better to have the image with better quality. And for that, we need to use the upscale algorithm, upscale procedure. And actually, it's pretty straightforward. You can just do it once and then copy and paste it from one workflow to another. And it's not the only one upscale algorithm, but I usually use this one, which I will show you right now. So we first need to ultimate upscale node, ultimate SD upscale, this one. It's a big one, but in general, we don't need all these parameters, and most of them are pretty similar with the K-sampler, and it's work the same way as a K-sampler. So we have the image, we have the positive negative prompt, we have the model, we have VIE upscale model. So this is the difference. It's a specific upscale model, and some parameters is the upscale factor. Seed we know it's algorithm for the same which we used with this seed. So how to control the seed, increment, decrement, random, or fixed. I will usually keep it fixed because for upscale we don't need any random steps, CFG. So more or less all of these parameters similar with the K-sampler. The only difference is the upscale model, this the specific model which we need to connect, and some stuff related to the tiles. If you, for example, familiar with the old version of the V-Ray or other render algorithm with different squares, which is moving all around the image during the render process. So the upscale is the similar. It's divide the image by tiles and tile by tile render it to produce the final result. And all these parameters, it's parameters related to the tiles, to tile size, and how to work with the seams in between tiles, and you can leave it as it is because by default all these parameters more or less okay. And the only thing here is tile width and tile height. You can change it to achieve better performance on your exact machine, because for example, if you have a good graphic cards, you can increase this stuff like that, and your render will be faster. If you have not so good graphic cards, so you need to decrease this tile size, and you will need wait a bit more, but you will not get error like out of memory or something to interrupt your process. So this parameter you can change. It depends on your graphic card, but all other stuff you can leave as this. Okay, we need to actually connect all this information from our previous algorithm. First, we need the positive and negative prompt. I used a special rewrote nodes. These nodes do nothing, so we just need to use it to organize our workflow in a better way, to have no intersection between wires and nodes. So this is a rewrote you can always find here. And then what we need else? We also need to actually apply ControlNet node here, because we will use the special ControlNet for the upscale. So this is our positive and negative prompt, and also we can connect them here. Then we need an image, which we have here. So it's pretty straightforward. We have the final image, we just connect them. And we need the ControlNet. Also, usually I decrease the strength and percent. So these parameters start and end percent in ControlNet nodes. We have the same here. All these parameters are related how long the ControlNet work during the steps. Now it means from the beginning almost till the end, but before the 10% of the finish of the job of the case sampler or upscale sampler, ControlNet stop working, and the last 10% will be for the case sampler. It's a free space to add something without ControlNet, and sometimes to more creative results you need to do that. Sometimes not, so it's up to you. Actually, you can experiment with that, with these parameters, and check which parameter is better for you to achieve better result. But it's working in the same way, and you actually can implement the ControlNet not from the beginning, but for example, after beginning, it's also can be interesting sometimes. So it's a lot of space for experimentation here, but mostly not for upscale, of course, but for the initial case sampler, you can play with these parameters and try to check what result is better for you. For upscale, we more or less need to keep initial image, but a bit enhance it according to the resolution and different details. And so last thing we need is ControlNet model itself. And for the upscale, we need the special ControlNet model, which is almost only for these purposes. It's called, I can try to find it actually. is this one. TT Planet is the Excel ControlNet V20 FP16. You also can try to download it through the manager, or you can find the link in my instruction. This is the special model for the upscale, and also you can use it for some cases. For example, if you would like to change small details on your initial image, for example, you have image like that, and you would like to create the similar image, but for example, with another weather or daytime, you also can use this ControlNet, and you don't need to use the preprocessor with it. So you need to upload the initial image to this input if you use this ControlNet for initial case sampler. Okay. Then what we need else, we need to upscale model. Scale model loader. And for example, I will use this one, but for X Ultra Sharp, also nice model, you can use it. It's up to you. Then we need to change the upscale factor to, I think it's okay for me. So we'll use it as it is. Model and VIE we have from this node. It's a basic model and basic VIE, so we don't need to connect something here. And for the image, we also need to use this image, the same as for the ControlNet. And the final step is image preview. And that's it. This all our algorithm. I usually use all this upscale stuff inside of the group, so I can move it a bit on the right side. For select all of these nodes, you need to press Ctrl and hold it and create the frame. And to move all these nodes, you need to hold Shift button on the keyboard, and you can move the group of nodes like that. And then you also can add to the canvas a group. For example, I call it upscale. And then cover this area with this group, and then you can use the group for moving this part of the workflow. And also you can right click on the group and bypass group nodes to exclude them from the workflow. So it means if you launch the workflow, this part will not work in. And right click again and set group to always to switch them on. And this part not always you need, because first you need to experiment with different parameters, and this is take a long time for produce the upscale result, especially if you have factor more than 2, and you don't need to every time upscale your image. First you need to find the best composition, the best parameters, and only after that back to your best seed and relaunch your workflow already with these nodes. So this is the good idea to create a group and bypass these nodes from the beginning if you have them in the workflow, and only when you achieve the good result, switch them on. Okay, then qprompt, and let's see what we will have. So this result, because the seed changed, we have the new result. And now this result will upscale. I also, while it's working, I also like this node. Actually, it's called image comparer, as I remember this one. And you can add two different images, for example, this one. And let's say this one. It will not be here because we add it after we launch the workflow, but I will show you later. So this is the upscale result, and I switch the seed back and relaunch it again. It's only recreate this node because everything else already were developed, and we don't. If we have the same parameters and same seed, the whole workflow will not work again because it will anyway produce the same result, and ComfyUI understand it and only recreate the new node, which we did, and we can compare the initial contours with the final results, so we can see it's more or less working fine for us. And this we can save if we want, of course. So that's actually all what I would like to say about this algorithm, about the AI render. It's not the only way how to produce AI render. It's a lot of different approaches, but it's one of the, not the best maybe, but this is the good solution how to do that and how to produce interesting result. Your input could be anything. It's not just a screenshot from the software. You can sketch something, you can photo something, you can make a physical model, and then you can render it. So it's up to you or what you will have. And if you need a more precise result according to the initial input, you can play with this parameter, low threshold and high threshold to keep all these lines if you want. Also, you can play with the base multiplier and the strength and the start percent and the end percent parameters to make more freedom to your algorithm, or vice versa. And also up to you. This is the upscale part, so it's pretty straightforward. And here you have the result. Then we will use this result to produce the textures, but I suggest to make a short break, let's say 10 minutes. I think it's okay for us. I have this time right now, so it's 3:30. In 3:40, we will go back and go to the next step to produce textures and then apply them to the 3D model. So let's make a break. So let's continue. Okay. Okay, the second ComfyUI workflow, which we need to consider right now, today, I would say, it's about to creating the textures, and it's maybe more simple and more straightforward because we will use more or less the same nodes, but we add some small parts which we need because for producing the textures, we need the specific models. And we also need to use one trick. In general, the idea which I would like to propose for using, it's to create first a 3D structure, then to find your style using this workflow, for example, or the Midjourney. It's up to you. Midjourney we will cover in the next hour, I suppose, when we finish with these textures. And you will find your style to 3D City, and you can use different models for that. Because, for example, I using right now Realistic Vision. Realistic Vision, this is the model which produce a realistic result. It's pretty obvious from the name of this model. But if you would like to create more stylish stuff, you need to use another model, for example, Dream Shaper, or you can just find something on CVTI. And it's a lot of different models here with a lot of different styles. And it's up to you which one to use. And some of them are really specific. For example, Dream Shaper is a more or less universal artistic model. I will show you this one. Yes, is Dream Shaper, and we need Dream Shaper XL for SDXL because this one for Stable Diffusion 1.5. And you can see here in the examples, some of the results also looks realistic, but another one more, let's say, cartoon or anime style. And this model can produce both and can produce different results with the specific style which you described in your prompt. And you can use this for achieving not realistic representation of your renders, and as well as not realistic textures is if you need this. So it's up to you which style to use, and you can see some prompts here. You can check these example images to check the prompts, and this is the images from the community, from the users who add these models to workflows and produce some images, and you can also click on it and see the description, see the prompts. So a lot of examples here, and you can find something which is good for you and which you can use to create something unique and not realistic as I did. So in general, it's up to you. Afterwards, when you produce these renders, I suggest to cut the small piece of this render with the texture which you need. For example, this part of the previous render, I can show you maybe the initial image. It's probably this one. So it looks like that. And I just cut the small piece of this image because I need it as a reference for the textures. I don't need, for example, this sky or this desert. I just need this part of the building to produce the textures. So I just use the Photoshop to crop the image and use the only part of it for the reference. And you can do the same with your images, and then produce the textures either in Midjourney or in the Stable Diffusion. We first will cover the Stable Diffusion, and then we will go to the Midjourney. In Midjourney, Okay, I will talk about Midjourney later. First, Stable Diffusion, and you understand this idea. We need to crop the image to only highlight the part which we need for producing the textures. Then you already have this workflow on Google Drive, and I probably will not recreate it from scratch because it spent the same time which we already spent for previous workflow, and we don't need to it because most of the parts are the same. For example, we have the totally same upscale part here, and we don't need to recreate it from scratch. I just highlight some most important stuff. First, we still have the case sampler. We still have clip text and code for positive prompt and for the negative prompt. And for negative prompt, you actually don't need all this stuff. You can just use ugly deformed. But if you want, you can keep the whole negative prompt from my example. It's also up to you. The only important thing, probably we don't need shadows on our results. So I probably add this word here. And this is the negative prompt, I remind you, and therefore all this stuff will be not represented on the final render. At least we will try to not represent them. Sometimes Stable Diffusion not totally follow your prompt, so you still will have the shadows because it's not only dependent on the prompt. You also have this image as an input, maybe something else as an input. So you also have the pre-trained model, which probably trained with the images with the shadows. So it's also affected to the result. Therefore, you don't need to believe that to idea that you put something here and it will be totally work, 100% work. So sometimes it's not because you have another inputs to your workflow. And one of them is the model, another one is the image in this case, so maybe something else. Sometimes workflow not totally follow to your prompt. You need to be ready for that. And probably sometimes just change the seed and recreate the render it, and it will help. Sometimes you need to change some parameters. Sometimes you need to change the model. So it depends. Okay. I don't use the stylizer here, so it's just a simple prompt and then clip text and code without any addition because we don't need to add some random enhancer to our prompt, and we just need to use this one. The positive prompt is also not so simple. It's first of all, I mentioned the word texture here because I need the texture. So it's close-up texture of something, for example, sandstone and greenery, or sandstone and glass, or concrete and glass. So it depends on what you would like to produce, which exact texture, maybe just the concrete, then you just leave it concrete here. I will not suggest you to add here words like a facade or building or something related to the architecture. Just mention the materials, because if you add the word facade, it's more or less okay. You will produce the good texture, probably, but it will be with really specific architectural mood. You will have a lot of windows, you will have maybe balconies and something else. Maybe you need it, so then you need to mention this word. It's also up to you. But I prefer to create more abstract texture. And if I need, for example, window or something, I can just add the glass material for some parts or for some voxels, or I can add I can produce this additional texture for the glass. So better to create, from my point of view, more material related textures than facade related textures, which will represent a lot of different elements. but it also depend on your approach, how to assign these textures and materials to the 3D model. So it's not the only way how to do that, and probably in some cases you need the whole facade texture. So in this case you can mention these words in the positive prompt. And here at front view, I don't need any perspective or axonometric, so it's probably also, we can mention this stuff here, perspective or isometric view. We don't need these things, and I can mention them in the negative prompt. And I need the front view. And if you can see, I have these parentheses and the special sign. How I achieve it? Actually, this is the weight of the word, and it means that this part of the prompt, the most important part, because the default weight of all words is 1. So here we have 1.5, which is much more bigger, 50% bigger. And to do that, of course, you can type this manually, but easiest way, I can delete it, for example, just select the part which you would like to highlight for the case sampler, then press the Control, and then press the up arrow on your keyboard. So like that many times, and you can increase the weight of this part of the prompt. If you want to decrease that, so it's down arrow, you can use one or another. It's working like that. So this is the special syntaxes for the stable diffusion. It's working not only the ComfyUI, but in any interface which related to stable diffusion. And mostly these short keys are also working with any interface. So in Automatic 11.11, you also can press the Control plus arrow to change the weight of the words in the prompt. So this is the one difference. Case sampler more or less the same, so the same parameters here. Latent image, in this case, we need the square image, so I just use this resolution without reading this resolution from the initial image. We don't need it, so we need the square texture like that. Also the seed, so this is the same as in the previous workflow. And the difference is the model, because we need the specific model for the textures, and it's not the same as for the just a simple render. So we actually use the same approach here as for the simple render. So it's a load checkpoint, and we have the regular model from the CVTI. In this case, it's Juggernaut. You can download it from CVTI, and you can use this model also for the AI render. It's also possible. It's another realistic model. And we have the Lora stack, which is the same, but I actually use only this Lora here, Nunu Excel. Form Finder, it's more, it's the Lora, both of them produced by Ismail Salet. And the Form Finder, this is the Lora, which is about organic shape buildings, and about not only organic shape, but I would say complex shape architecture. Nunu Excel, it's about more minimalistic shape and natural material architecture. So for texture, it's a good choice. And I use not fully weight of this LoRa, just 50%, both for the model itself and for the clip algorithm. And I suppose it's okay, but you can even switch it off as well. It's about experimentation, and you can check one or another LoRa it's necessary to use or not. But I would say with this LoRa, it's possible to produce more architectural materials, more architectural textures, and probably it's more interesting. For Finder, I switched off here, and this is my own LoRa. I also not using it here, so you just need maybe this one. Or maybe you can download another LoRa from the CVTI as well. And this is the same stuff as in the previous algorithm. And what difference we have here? First, we have IP adapter. So IP adapter is this for nodes. So it's initial image and these three guys here. And the IP adapter, this is the special algorithm for the for stable diffusion to take style and some other stuff from the reference. And we have the reference. And previously, for example, for the previous algorithm, we used ControlNet, but ControlNet keep the composition. It take, for example, contours or depth map, which also related with the composition, or pose of the character from the image or something else. Depends on which exact control net you use. It takes something from the images, but the idea of the control net is keep the composition of the initial image and change something else. For example, colors, for example, surrounding, for example, style of the image, but keep the composition as it is, or at least follow this composition. It depends on the parameter. For example, if you decrease the weight of the control net, of course, it's not will be fully follow the initial image, initial composition of the image, but the idea of control net is use this composition and produce something else on top. The IP adapter working in a different way. Here we take the style. We don't take the composition. We take some, let's say, material, some atmosphere from the image or artistic style. It also depends on the parameters, which exact thing we will take from the initial image. But I would say we take the mood from this facade image and use it for producing the textures. So this is the idea of the IP adapter. And this combination of nodes, it's like a basic workflow for the IP adapter. So we need the IP adapter model, IP adapter clip model, and we need the node which is processing the image. It's actually crop the image. And we have the method for cropping. We have the position, which is the center of cropping. And for example, we can crop from the top side of the image. And it's necessary because IP adapter working with the square image, and our initial image kind of random. It's not square. That's why we need this special node to create to crop it to square, let's say, from the center point and make the fully square image. And then this is the node which take all this information from initial image and move it to the K-sampler through the model input. And this is how IP adapter work. Also, we have the weight is the similar thing which we had in ControlNet, and it's how image affected the result, 100% or 50% or something. It's almost 100% in my example. Then we have the weight type. So it's different ideas how to use this image. So you can understand for some naming what exactly will be taken from this image, for example, style or composition, but composition, I would say, we will not take anyway. It's more or less also the idea of the composition, not the composition itself, as we have in ControlNet, for example. And this stuff easy out, easy in. It means, for example, IP adapter working on the first steps of the K-sampler and or on the end steps of the K-sampler. So it's a kind of a representation of this schedule of the steps. And for example, if we use easy out, it means we add the IP adapter in the end of the process, or in the beginning if we have easy in, for example. And you can choose one or another method and check the result. Sometimes one works better, another works better in, for example, with another input. And I usually use this one, easy out. For me, in most cases, this is the best choice. All other partners start at and at also the same as for the control nets. It means during the whole process, we will use IP adapter, or we can switch it off totally. For example, in the second half of the process, if we use 0.5 here for this parameter, and this easy out is more, it's anyway, for example, it's working always, but it mostly working on the end, so it's kind of schedule, and it doesn't mean it's not working at all in the from the beginning. It's working because we have this percentage here. So, and the other parameters, combine embeds and embed scaling, is for not for this case because we have just in one image, but sometimes you need to combine different images for the IP adapter to create more complex stuff. And for that, you have some additional parameters, how to mix them, and you have some methods for that. Also, you have a negative image, also not our case. But if you would like to avoid something from your, I mean, in this stylish way, you would like to avoid some stuff. For example, you can add the really contrast image if you don't need this result to image negative, but I usually don't use it. And the mask, it's about which part of the image. In ComfyUI, it's possible to use mask to re-render or add to one process or another only part of the image. And for that, you can use black and white mask, which you can produce directly in ComfyUI or in Photoshop, for example, and load it through the load image. And then, for example, you can working only with this part of the image, and for that you can use the mask. Okay, we don't need these additional parameters for this exact workflow, and mostly which you can which parameters you can use for plane here is weight and weight type. So these two are very interesting to change them and check the results. Then this stuff, this is for producing the textures. It's not related to IP adapter. It's only to create the seamless texture. It means, for example, I maybe show you. Probably you're familiar with that, with it, but just to be sure. So, for example, if we have the texture, something like, say this one. So this is the seamless texture, and we can check it. For example, if I create the pattern from this texture like that, and then maybe I create the new image and use this pattern. Oh, it's another one, sorry. Oh. I need the news layer. Oh, it's too small. Okay. Let's try to make it much bigger. Oh, generative expand we don't need. So you can see it's no borders between these parts. So this is the seamless texture. It's let's say, endless, and it's reproduce itself in endless way. And for achieve this result, not just create the image which is regular image, because, for example, if we use the render from the previous image, it will not work in like that, like a pattern. And but for the textures, we need it. For that, in ComfyUI exist these special node packages, MTB nodes, and this special model patch simplest node to adjust the initial model. It's not about API adapter. You can, for example, in the simple case scenario, just use the prompt and the initial model like that. And that's it. You don't need the reference. For example, sometimes you just put your prompt by text. And for producing the seamless texture, you can connect it directly, and your result will be the seamless mm, seamless map, and you can use it for the diffuse map and the materials in different softwares. So yes, these two nodes I just rewrote. It's for clip text for positive and negative prompt because we need it for upscale later. So we use it in the same way in the previous algorithm. So just not to copy these nodes, we can directly move it to the upscale. And then the same stuff, VIE decode to create the result, then tile offset to it's the special the same package, MTB nodes, and this is also for producing the final result for the tile texture, and you can already tile it a couple of times by one direction or another direction, and you can define these parameters. This is the result. I sometimes use this node as well. If you would like to use it, you need to connect it to this rewrote instead of the initial image, which we have here. Because this node, it's just take the color scheme from the reference. So if you can see, we have this initial image to connect it here. Then we have the target image, which is our result. And it's adjust the color of the target image from the color scheme of the initial image. And sometimes it's interesting to use it. And if you like the result, you can just connect it to this rewrote. And then you will take this image for upscale and for everything else. But in this case, I don't really like it. This is more light texture by default, and I will not use it. Just represent the result here. So this is my intermediate result. And then we will use the same algorithm for the upscale. The only difference in the end of the upscale, I additionally use the sharpen image node, which create the more sharp result. And this is my diffuse map. So that's it. And then from this diffuse map, I also use some nodes from the MTB nodes package. All of the new implementation from this package here, all the other nodes we already had, except the API adapter, of course. And here we have some nodes which produce different maps, mostly bump related maps. So this is the normal map, this is the height map, and this is another way to represent the height map. But in general, I will use this normal map as an image for the bump. And these two stuff I will use for example, roughness map, or maybe for the, I don't know, glossiness map, something like that. So we have all these for textures. If you need something else, change the prompt, relaunch your algorithm and try to do something else. For example, if I would like to create, let's say, sandstone and glass, I can change the prompt like that. And probably we will have the facade with some windows. Let's check. We also need to wait while the new model will be uploaded, because we used another one previous time. So this already done, and now case sampler working. Final result is without glass, so I can cancel the process if I don't like the result. For example, I have this small button here. If you don't have it, probably you need to scroll down this small window for that. So it's probably, yeah, view queue button is here to open this small stuff, and you can cancel any process in the middle of working. Okay, let's try to, it's automatically changed. Let's try just to do it again with another seat. So this is more interesting. We have some glass here, and for example, this is another one. It's another example, another facade which is related from our reference, and it's take some stuff from it. If you can see, for example, these parts, it's here. The main idea of the facade is more or less represented here, especially if we take the color scheme. And for color scheme, we have different methods how to take them. You can also experiment with all these methods, and you can see the difference. But in general, the idea is like that. We have the reference, we have the final texture for our facade. And then we need to wait the upscale and producing these three textures. And afterwards, we need to save them. So all these four maps, we need to save in this special way. And I will show you later when we will go to the Blender why we need it. But in general, you need the same names for all of them, then underscore sign. And then for the main map, we need to add this word diffuse. And for other, we need to add gloss, normal, and rough. So it's like that. And this gray texture will be the rough texture for us. This is the normal map, which is obviously, and this will be the gloss. Actually, we don't need this one, but this three is most important for us now. Okay, I see one question. These are not, it means they are bypassed like that. If you right click on the group, you can switch them off like that. And to switch them on, again, right click on the group and set group nodes to always. They will be working. Okay. You need this just for sometimes, for example, you have different branches of your workflow and you would like to launch one of them and other, for example, just for experimentation or temporary for check something. Or, for example, it's time consuming part, this upscaling, you would like to switch it off for some first attempts and only after you find the good result, you can switch this group on. And this is really useful command to bypass group nodes and then to switch them back. Okay. It's about the textures, how you can produce them. Don't forget to save them in the proper way, but I will mention it again when we will go to the Blender, why it's important and why we need all these maps, not just a diffuse. But in general, for simplification, for this workflow and for this workshop, you can just save the diffuse map and this is more complex stuff for better representation of your textures and better representation of your materials, let's say more realistic. Sometimes you don't need it. And for this small workshop, maybe just a diffuse map is enough for you. but you can also keep this stuff. And I would like to show you the same, how to achieve the same result in Midjourney. So it's also important for us because I suppose not everyone can install the ComfyUI, and therefore we need to talk about Midjourney a bit. I have the small presentation as well. So Midjourney right now, first of all, it's a great tool. I use it a lot, but of course I mostly use ComfyUI because you have more freedom there. But Midjourney also nice, and right now inside of the Midjourney you can find a lot of different functions, and we will not cover all of them during this small tutorial because it's about maybe 3 or 4 days. Midjourney right now is a really big tool with a lot of possibilities, but I will highlight the functions which we need for this exact workshop. And first of all, the small overview. And this is the comparison between Midjourney and ComfyUI. And you can see advantages, disadvantages. It's just my point of view, but it's more or less true, I suppose. And as I said, I prefer ComfyUI. But for some cases, I still use Midjourney. And if you have just a text prompt without anything, without any other input, Midjourney is still the best tool for producing nice images because in ComfyUI, you at least need something. For example, your own model or your own images as an input. If you have nothing and your idea, for example, to make a workflow without any inputs. In this case, Midjourney the best choice for you. In any other cases, and if you have your own input, and better you have your own input, I would say, then ComfyUI produce for you better results, and it's for free also, without any limitations, without any other stuff which you need sometimes to pay attention in Midjourney or any online services, because sometimes you have some restrictions there. Okay, then this is the website where you can use Midjourney. I'm not 100% sure that it's available for everyone. The website itself, I suppose, available, but this button create, at least a few months ago, it wasn't available for everyone, just for experienced users. It was open, but probably now they already open it for everyone, and you can use the website instead of Discord. But if not, you can use Discord as well for producing images inside Midjourney. Website, I would say, more convenient way how to use this tool. Then, if you would like to know Midjourney better, then we will do during this tutorial, you can use this documentation. It's pretty good, and everything actually described there pretty well. So you can find all the parameters, all the functions in this documentation. This is the link how to find this web page. We will use 2 different models today, and for your final works as well, you can use mostly these 2 models. It's Midjourney version 6 and Niji version 6. So these 2 different models produce different results. These images, these 3, produced by Midjourney V6, and this is, I would say, a realistic model. And of course, you can also use some style tricks to achieve non-realistic results with Midjourney 6, and this is fine. But by default, I would say this is the realistic model, and you can use it to achieve like a photography mode or render mode or something like that. So, and another one model is Niji. Niji produce non-realistic result. I would say it's about cartoon, about anime, about stylish stuff. So, for example, images like that. And you can see the prompt in this presentation. I will share the links to both of this of the presentation about Stable Diffusion, about Midjourney after this lecture in Discord. You can find all these links. So you can see the comparison is pretty different. Then we need to understand how to use the prompts in Midjourney, and it's not the only way how to do that. First, it's a direct prompt. This is the example images I produced with this exact prompt, and you can see the special syntaxes here. Syntax, it's dash dash, then specific parameters, for example, no, or dash dash specific parameters, for example, AR, which means aspect ratio. And Midjourney has a lot of different parameters. You can find them in the documentation, but we will use only some of them, and I will show all what you need for producing the textures. And in general, you first text your prompt with the simple words, just describe what you want, and then use some parameters. And I will show you later how to do it on the website, and it's pretty simple. Then, instead of the simple prompt, you can implement your inputs to the Midjourney. For example, image like that. This is image just from the internet. I downloaded this image from the website. I don't really remember which one. And I even didn't download it. I actually used the link from this image. If you right click on any image in the internet, you can copy the link address and then put this address to your prompt. I usually put it from the beginning and then add additional text, which is describe the idea, and then the parameters. So the structure is the same, but you just add the link to the image. And this is the result. So Midjourney implement this image to your final render somehow. And it's how you can use any inputs and produce something, let's say, in the same way as we did with the IP adapter in the ComfyUI. So this more or less the idea how Midjourney used the same approach. But it's not the only way, because instead of the link, you can use the special parameter, which is called cref or sref. Cref, it means character reference. And mainly this parameter, the idea of using this parameter, it's using it for the characters. For example, you have the face of your friend or face of a movie star or someone else, and you would like to implement this face or this character itself. If it's not a man, for example, this cartoon character, to the image. And for that, you can use this cref parameter and then link to the image which you would like to implement to your final result. But I realized that you can use it for architecture as well. And this is the final result, because it's, let's say, not the proper way how to use this parameter, but you can do that. I used the same image, this one, with the fishes. And it's how Midjourney implement this image to the buildings. So it's also possibility how to use it. And sref, it's a style reference. So this is more or less the proper way how to use the image. And style reference and the link to the image is the same image again, and your prompt, and this is the result. So here we didn't take any parts of the initial images. We just took the mood, the style from this image. So if here you can see all these elements, for example, these waves here and even parts of the fish because we use character reference parameter. And we can see these results here. When we use style reference, so we just let's say make a small touch from one image to another, and it's how it works. So it's a more proper way, more soft way, I would say, how to implement the image to your final architectural result. And sometimes it's work really nice. But sometimes you can check how it works with this parameter, and you can also achieve the fine result. Also, you can combine them. So you can use one image for style reference and another for character reference. It's also possible to just put both of these parameters. And also for the style reference, you can use not the only one image, you can use some of them. And I will show you later on the website how to do that. And it's a way how to implement your inputs to the final result. It's not possible in Midjourney to create image based on the position of another image, as we did for AI render workflow in ComfyUI with ControlNet. So Midjourney hasn't the same approach, and you always will produce something different, not totally the same as your initial image. But for example, in ComfyUI, it's possible to upload your image and, for example, draw the mask and change the small part, or keep the composition and change the, let's say, weather or daytime or something else. So in Midjourney, it's not possible. Midjourney will always produce something new for you, but it can take something from the input images, and you can let's say produce the direction for the Midjourney to create something. And for example, for textures, it's enough for us because we don't need to keep our initial images. We need to produce new textures, but we need to make a direction for the Midjourney to how to do that. And the style reference parameter is a good way to achieve these results. So this is another example, and also with the style reference parameter, you can use style weight parameter. By default, it's 100, as I remember, and it's let's say 100% of weight of this image, which is affected to the final result. But for example, here I decrease this weight to 50%, and we have another result. So this is the 100%, this is the 50% with the same images. And the stylized parameter is also additional implementation, additional parameter. You can find the description of this parameter in documentation, but in general, Midjourney has its own style, which is affected to the result, and you can decrease this affection or increase it by this stylized parameter. So, it's actually true for both Midjourney and Stable Diffusion. After you achieve the good image, good result, you can post-processing it in Photoshop. For example, this is the simple post-processing, just change the brightness and contrast. And this is Midjourney image. This is after Photoshop image, which looks better from my point of view. And you can easily do that in Photoshop just to a bit enhance your results. Also, you can use the Photoshop AI to delete some elements. It's possible to do it in Midjourney itself, but I realized that Photoshop working better. And for example, you can mask some details, for example, these strength parts of the image, and recreate it in the Photoshop and achieve results like that. For example, it's also the way how to improve your renders. Then you can produce more complex inputs for the Midjourney. For example, here I combine these three images. These are also produced in Midjourney, these two from internet, and I create really rough composition of the image, and then I use this image for the style reference, and I will achieve this result. So here actually it's for style references, this image, and also I use character reference with another images, which is more, let's say, metallic, and therefore we also have the another touch from another source, I would say. Therefore, it's not totally the same like that. But the idea, we have the moon, we have some craters, we have some skyscrapers. The idea is here, and it was the main workflow which I would like to represent here. So this one approach, this also some images with this approach. And another one, more complex approach, you can produce something in 3D. For example, this structure I did in Grasshopper. Then this is just some screenshots from Grasshopper. Then I export it to the Blender just to make renders like that with the materials. Then I switch to Lightroom to adjust the image color composition and different stuff. And then I use this image as a style reference and produce something in Midjourney. So we keep the structure here, and you can see this building or this, for example, or this, all of them with the same style reference. And when you use your own inputs in Midjourney, you can produce more interesting results because if you working with Midjourney a lot, you will quickly realize that Midjourney will produce always the same stuff, not totally the same, of course, it's different images, but the idea of these images, especially if you use some keywords more or less often, you will see that Midjourney will produce the similar stuff for you and similar stuff for other architects or characters who work in this Midjourney, and it's not the good way just to use your text prompt because you will achieve something really regular with the text prompt. But if you will implement your own inputs, maybe you will achieve more interesting results there. So then we need to produce textures. So we need some, we already know some basics about Midjourney. And for the textures, this is the example of the results. And what we need actually here, we need the prompt and then we need the no parameter. No parameter is working as a negative prompt. So all the words after dash dash no will work in the same way as negative prompt in ComfyUI. So you can use not only one word, so for example, shadows, comma, cars, comma, windows, comma, something else, and only afterwards switch to another parameter. So this is the negative part of our prompt. Then we need the special parameter tile for producing a seamless texture. We already know how it works, and we don't need something complex in Midjourney. Just this simple parameter tile produce the seamless textures for us, so it's enough. And style reference, for example, in style reference we can add any image which we would like to follow as a style for our textures. It could be your photo, something from internet, your renders, even images which you produce in Midjourney. So as I mentioned, in Midjourney it's not possible to create AI render as we did in ComfyUI, but you can create, let's say, abstract voxel city image in Midjourney just to text your prompt. And when you achieve style which you like, you can then use this Midjourney image as style reference for the textures as well, if you don't have, for example, ComfyUI. And this is the way how you can create the textures and references for these textures in Midjourney. So, and this is the result. These links you already have seen. And we'll go to the Midjourney, and I will show how it works. If you're on the website here, you need to go to the Create tab, and then you need to type your prompt. For example, I don't know, maybe I just copy this prompt just to not type it again, and copy it for you. This is actually, we need the parameter here, -- no shadows. So this is your prompt. I will copy it to Zoom. And we actually don't need this comma as well. Okay, if you don't have Create, I will show you how to do it in Discord. And smaller is the same, but with some tricks. Probably they still keep this button for not for all the users, and you need to first produce some images in Discord, maybe 100 images, and then this button will be open for you, and you can use the website. I would say the website more convenient for now. So about image, if you have the style reference image, you just need to drag and drop it. For example, if I have the image, say here, maybe this one, I just need to drag and drop it to the prompt area, and then in the on the bottom of the image you will see 3 different signs. First, with the sign of the man, this is the character reference. The second is the style reference, and the third is just a link inside of your prompt. So you can pick one or another for your image. For example, this will be the style reference, which is more proper way, I suppose, how to do that. And if you, for example, would like to add another style reference image, you also can drag and drop it, or character reference image, also you can drag and drop it. So you're not limited with only one image. You can use as many images, not as many images as you want, but a lot of them. So, and then you can just press enter and launch your job. Also, if you use this button here, you can choose some parameters. For example, you can predefine the aspect ratio of your images, but you also can use the parameter for that. And for textures, we need the square, of course. And most important for us is version. You can choose either version 6 or Niji 6. All other versions you probably don't need for at least for this workshop. Sometimes I use, for example, Python 5.2, but the last version is 6, and Niji 6 is the last version for the, I would say, stylish images, and it's better to use them. Also, personalize a special function. We will not cover it today, and this is about your subscription. You can spend more points from your subscription or less, depends on these parameters. And this stylization, weirdness, and variety parameter. Variety is about how different will be for images which Midjourney will produce by default. And Midjourney always produce 4 images per job, and this parameter, let's say, it's a percentage is how different will be all these images. Weirdness, it's weirdness, so your images will be a bit weird if you increase the value of this parameter. Stylization, I already talked about it, and a lot of different parameters not represented there. And you need to just use that dash and one or another parameter, for example, no or something else. If you already knew how to use these parameters, but for this workshop, we just need this stuff. I suppose no and tile, it's enough for us. Then press enter and launch your job. So you need to wait a bit And I will show you in Discord how it works as well while it's working. So first of all, you need to add your Midjourney bot to direct messages. I will not show how to do it because I'm not really remember, but it's pretty easy. You can find this information in internet. I suppose actually you just need to go to the Discord channel of the Midjourney, right click on the bot and add it somehow to your contacts. So it's working something like that, but I not fully remember how to do it because I did it a couple of years ago, maybe 1.5 years ago. So in general, when you did it, you have this Midjourney bot in your contacts, and then you need to press slash imagine and then type your prompt. For example, texture of the concrete, let's say pretty simple. Then the same for the parameters, no shadows. And the only tricky way it's about sref because we need to put sref style reference. And the image itself, if it's image from the internet, for example, you can find it somewhere in Google. Let's say concrete building. Images. And for example, let's say I like this random one and open this link in new tab. Oh, it's really high rise. So maybe something else. It's too small. Okay, maybe right here. Right click, then copy image address from the Google. Then go back to the Discord and space and put this link here. So that's it actually. And the texture and press enter. Invalid parameter. Okay, I have the version 5.2 here. Settings. I need to switch the version to 6. So slash settings open for you this menu where you can define some parameters by default for your renders. And then I can copy it again. So maybe just this part. Slash imagine. And try again. So now it's working. We need to wait. And this is the way how to implement something from the internet. If you have your own Midjourney image, let's say, for example, this one, you also can copy, open it like that, open in the browser, copy image address and implement this image to your prompt. This is pretty simple. And if you have something on your computer, for example, this image, you can just drag and drop it to Discord, press enter to upload it. And then also open in browser, copy image address and implement it to your prompt. So for example, if we have the same, this is for images for us with the concrete based on the image from Google. And for example, I would like to do the same for this image. I already copied the link and I can of course copy this prompt and change the link, but also I can press this redo button and Midjourney show for me this window, how to change my prompt. If you don't see this window, it means this button in your settings switched off. So you need to switch it on, remix mode. Remix mode suggests for you every time when you redo something on or create the version, change the prompt a bit or completely. It's up to you. And for example, I would like to paste this new link here instead of previous one and submit the job. So also we need to wait a bit. Of course, better to use some more complex prompt as I did for ComfyUI. You can even use the same prompt for the textures and because it's pretty simple texture of the concrete. And therefore we have some perspective here. So better to highlight, we don't need any perspective. We need front view or something. So here we have the result like that, which is kind of interesting, especially the first one, I suppose. And if I like the first one, I use this upscale button for the first image. And then I need, again, use this upscale button because this is just a representation of the image separately from the three other images. And this is the real upscale. And we have two options for them, two different algorithms. It's a creative upscale and subtle upscale. Subtle is more close to the original image, which we produced already, and creative adds some new details for us. So it's also sometimes we need one or another algorithm, and I use the upscale subtle. I suppose this is fine for me. I produce this texture. If we switch back to the website and we, for example, have these four textures here, 1, 2, 3, 4, you can just click on one or another. And if you like, for example, this one, because here we had a more complex prompt, texture of the building facade with greenery, windows and stairs, close up, front view. So it's much more complex. Therefore, we have a lot of details and we have really front textures without perspective. And this is better result. Of course, we can use the same prompt in Discord as well. And we will achieve the same result because Midjourney is the same. Doesn't matter. You use it on the website or in the Discord. So the website is just more user-friendly, I think. But in general, the results will be the same. And here for the upscale, we also have this upscale button, and we can use subtle or creative upscale. And for example, I use the subtle, and then I need to wait when it's finished, and afterwards I can download the result. So here we also have a result already, open in browser, and we can save the image somewhere on our computer. So this is the result for us. Unfortunately, in Midjourney, it's not possible to create something instead of diffuse map. So you can't create a normal map or glossiness map or something else. So for that, if you need these maps, you either can switch to ComfyUI if you have it. And for example, if you more like results, if you have both, and if you more like results in Midjourney, you can produce textures here, then switch back to ComfyUI and produce other maps, or you can use the Photoshop. So you can easily find tutorials how to produce, let's say, normal map or any other textures from the diffuse map in the Photoshop. It's really not complex stuff. And if you need it, just type it in Google and it's a tutorial maybe for 10 minutes. So that's it about Midjourney, I suppose. And we right now know how to produce textures here. The most important stuff is use the tile parameter, this one, because in this case, we will create the seamless textures, and this is important for us. And when we have all of this stuff, we can go to the Blender and assign our textures and create materials to the geometry. Let's see how to do that, I think. So I probably better to close ComfyUI because it's performance consuming, I think. So probably I will start with new Blender. Okay, you already know some basic stuff about interface from day one of our workshop, or probably you were familiar with Blender before. First of all, I will open the file which I uploaded to Google Drive yesterday, and you can find it there. So it's probably this one. Yep. And yeah, what else I need? So this is simple geometry with the voxels, and you can see 3 different meshes here. And we need one small preparation for our job. We need to go to Edit menu, then Preferences, and then check one add-in. It's already switched on or not. In the search area, type Wrangler nodes, like that, Wrangler node. And if you don't have this checkbox switched on, so this is the standard add-on which installed with the Blender, and you don't need to download it separately. So it's a basic add-on. It's just switched off by default. And you can find the description here. Mainly this stuff we need for working with node interfaces in Blender. And it's some shortcuts and also you can see this naming convention for the materials. You can even change it if you want. But for example, if we use the diffuse texture in the naming of the textures, we need some one of these words. If we use metallic textures, also bump textures, normal map, and etc., etc. So that's why we add some of these words to our materials. I will show you again. So we have this diffuse, gloss, normal, and draft boards to specify different maps in our materials following this naming convention, which is here by default, and I didn't change it. But of course, if you would like to implement your own naming convention, you can do that. And the most important stuff, we need just switch on this add-on and close this window. So that's it. Then we need to go to the shading tab here and probably select one of these mesh. So I already add one of the materials to this tab, but I probably will create the new one just to show you how it works. And for that, I maybe just copy it and delete everything instead of these 2 nodes. So these 2 guys, when you create the new material, it's by default here. It's material output and principled BSDF node. So this is the basic shader for the Blender, and through this shader you can create a lot of different materials and a lot of maps you can add by inputs to this node. So the base color, metallic, roughness, etc., etc. So it looks complex, but it's not so complicated in general, because you can just need to add different maps to this node, and that's it. So for better representation of our view to see the materials, actually, we need to switch to the viewport shading. It's a last ball on this small panel here. And you can see here, for example, already assigned a couple of materials, but here not. It's just a white chunk of mesh. And we will implement our material to this, and I can show you how to do it. First of all, we have, as you see on the other meshes, we have vertical surfaces and the horizontal one, which is on top and bottom of these voxels. To separate them, I will use the special node to combine two different shaders. So this one with another one, so we actually can even copy this shader, Control-C, Control-V, like that. And we will combine them by mix shader node. To add any node on the canvas, you need to right click here, then use add or Shift A, this is the short key. And then you have different group of nodes. And for example, for shaders, we have different shaders here. And in general, the mix shader, I suppose, located right here. Yes, mix shader. So, and we can combine two different shaders by factor. So for factor, we also need something to combine them. But for example, right now, I just mix it like that. And you will see this is blue shader and white shader combined to something in the middle. It's just mix these two guys and create the new material. But we will create the mask for factor, and it will be separate these two materials in different way. For this mask, what we need? First, we need to read some parameters from the geometry. And for that, we need the node, which is called geometry, actually. And it's here in input and geometry node here. So, and this is the parameter of selected geometry. So right now we are working with this mesh, and this is the different parameter of its position, normal vectors, tangent vector, etc., etc. Well, we will use the normal vector. Normal vector, this is the vector from the face of the geometry, from any face of the geometry. It's not the only one vector, and perpendicular to this face. And we will use this vector to analyze this vector is horizontal or vertical. And if it's vertical, it means we have the horizontal face. And if it's horizontal vector, so it means we have the vertical face. And this is how we will separate them by two different materials. To analyze that, we need the vector math node, and it's located in the vector group and vector. Oh, probably not in the vector group. So it's maybe here, converted vector math. Yes, converter vector math. And we have the different operations for the vector. We need here the operation which is called dot product. So subtract maximum absolute. Tangent. Yeah, dot product, this one. And we have two different inputs for two different vectors to define the dot product between them. So dot product, this is the vector math operation. If you don't really know how it works, I will not go deep into it, but you easily find this information in Wikipedia, for example. It's pretty basic stuff. So we add this normal vector to the first one, and we will compare it with the z vector. So it's z vector has the coordinates like that, 0, 0, 1. And the result will be, we just need to check it. For example, for that, we will compare this result with the number. And for that, we need another math operation, but the simple math operation, not the vector math. So this one. And here we need operation which is called greater than. And here we need the number actually as a result. And we add it to the value, and we will compare it with, let's say, minus 0.3. With any minus number, actually, it doesn't matter which one. And we copy it. And also use it, but compare it with the last number like that. And the result here we will use as a factor. And you can see. So here we defined all the top surfaces, but not the bottom. So that's why we need to copy the mix shader again, like that. Use this like a factor. And we again need to use this one as a result. So now bottoms also defined. This blue stuff for top and bottom we have. Probably we need white here or specific material like concrete or something else. So I will define it like that. And this temporary will be blue. So now we have two different materials. And for these materials, we need the textures. And actually, for this stuff, we switched on Wrangler node because Wrangler node automatically can create all the node structures to add all different textures to different inputs of this node. For that, we need to press, select this node and press Ctrl+Shift+T, Ctrl+Shift+T. And you will open this window and you need to find the folder with your textures. For example, in my case, it's not here. It's probably, so here, and let's say this one, probably facade 4. And I need just select all of these maps and use this button, Principled Texture Setup. And Blender will automatically create this structure and automatically assign different maps to these nodes. And you will have this result in your window. So it's pretty simple. We have the seamless texture like that. The result like that. So, of course, if you will have more interesting texture and if you will have more interesting combination of these nodes to, for example, randomly assign different texture for different faces, you will achieve maybe something more complex and more interesting. It's up to you if you can do that. But this is the basic stuff which we need right now. And so you can use it at least in this way. Mhm. And actually, that's it. It's what I would like to talk today and everything what I would like to show. So let's see, maybe you have some questions. How to add another material and randomize surface with nodes. So this is more complex stuff. Actually, it's about another couple of hours to show, but if you would like go deep into it, you can do that. This is the main idea. You need to use the mix shader to mix different materials and then add it to the material output. And this is the idea how to, for example, separate different faces, but it's not the only method. Of course, in Blender, you can implement more complex node structure and you can implement really complex approach to really randomize these textures and create something. For example, for randomization, you can use the procedural textures and or more complex masks, or even you can select manually some faces. It's also possible and assign some slots for different materials. For example, this is the geometry which you have, and we have just one slot right now for the materials, but you can create another slot and assign another material totally. This is all of this stuff is only one material, but you can create separate structure with another one material, assign it to different slot, and then manually or in algorithmic way also create different, let's say, representation of the slots for different geometry. For that, you have this vertex group, for example, and you can select one vertex group for one geometry and another for another geometry. But I suppose I will not show you all this stuff today because it's a lot of knowledge and a lot of things which I need to show for the whole process. Anyway, if you would like to go deep into it, you can try to find some tutorials and maybe it will help you, but I suppose not, because we have not so much time for tomorrow presentation. And basically, you can use this approach. Also, the easiest way is just separate the geometry by default. So you can create different meshes by default. For example, here we have 3 different meshes. And of course, for each of them, we can assign different materials. And if you separate this geometry previously before Blender, you can easily assign the materials without any complex node stuff. This is another way how to do it. But I suppose this is not a goal for us. For us, the most important stuff is to follow this workflow and to create your own textures, to create your own idea of the voxel city and represent it. We don't need to produce really complex geometry and really complex materials to show it. So it's not enough time for that. If we will have the 1 week workflow, I suppose we will do that, but for 3 days is hard to achieve some results like that. So basically, if you will follow at least these steps, it will already will be good. But if you already know, for example, ComfyUI or Blender in an advanced way, you can implement something from your side and create something really complex if you want, of course. So different layers. In Blender, you don't have any layers in general. So you have this stuff is not layers, it's called collection. But in general, this inside of this collection, you have these 3 meshes, which you can select it. And of course, if you have more meshes, you can assign different materials on them, and it will help you. But in general, it's not easy to do fast. But for example, if you have the mesh like that, if you press the top button, you can select, for example, if you select one or another polygons, of course, and separate them from this mesh, or at least assign another group for another material slots, and then assign another material for that. So it's possible to do it manually, of course, and you can do that, but it's not so fast way. And yes, the answer is yes. If you do that, you can assign different materials. But in general, it's not a more it's not an advanced way how to do it. So you can create the material itself, which is recognize different parts of your geometry. And as I did, for example, for horizontal and vertical parts, you can create a more advanced algorithm and randomly, for example, create different textures. It's also possible. So, but for that, I suppose you have no time if you don't know Blender. Uh, if you already know how to do it, of course, you can do that. Okay. Do you have any other questions? So if not, we will see you tomorrow. And in general, what you need to do by default, and if you will not to implement something complex stuff, basically you need to produce geometry. Then you need to produce AI renders. On top of this AI render, if it's possible, if you have ComfyUI, of course. If you don't have ComfyUI, instead of AI render, just make some Midjourney, let's say, mood images, just which is based on your text prompt without anything else. So if you have ComfyUI, use your initial geometry, use AI render workflow, and produce these renders. Then either if you have Midjourney image or ComfyUI image, on top of this image, you can produce textures, both in Midjourney or ComfyUI, it's up to you. And then you need to assign these textures to the model and represent this model in the web page or on your screen somehow. Tomorrow, you will share your screen and show all this stuff. Describe your idea with some words. For example, your Voxel city is about, and just describe the idea which is behind of this city, about your style, about something else, and that's it. So it's easiest way how to do it. Of course, if you know the Blender, if you know Blender, or if you know ComfyUI in advanced way, you can implement something else, and it's will be really good for us if you will do it, and it's also possible. So I think that's it for today, and we will see you tomorrow. Yes. Yeah, some good tips in the chat about how to dissolve the faces and mm, separate them from the meshes. So you can read it as well. Unfortunately, I didn't read YouTube chat. Maybe some questions there as well, but I'm not sure about it. But if you have some questions on the YouTube, you can also text them in the Discord, and I'll try to answer. So that's it for today, and see you tomorrow.
Recording stopped.